creators, it's Melissa from Melissa's Creations. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be creating this beautiful petal pink card using the little Twinkle bundle. I'm cutting some pieces of the Designer Series paper. This stripe piece measures 1/2 inch by 4.5 inches. Next up, this white background piece measures 4.25 inches by 5.5 inches. This is the same size as the standard card front. I'm using the heart constellation and the sentiment that says it was written in the stars to stamp images onto this card. I'm using my Night of Navy classic Stampin' pad, and I'm squeezing it to get a small pool of ink on the lid. Using an aqua painter, I'm going to paint on a scrap of our watercolor paper so that I can stamp and emboss the heart constellation. You're going to want to make sure that you allow this piece to dry completely before you stamp and emboss on it. I have a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock that I'm going to stamp my sentiment on using the Night of Navy classic Stampin' pad. We're going to trim this piece down so that it is a smaller banner cut piece. If you don't have a banner cutting tool, you can simply use your snips by snipping once up the center and then snipping from the corner to the top of that center snip. This will create your banner cut edges. It's a really fast and simple way if you don't have any banner cutting tools or die cuts. You're also going to need a Whisper White piece of cardstock that measures 4.25 by 5.5 inches. I'm going to start by cutting out the scalloped circle from my topmost layer. So I'm centering the scalloped circle right onto my pink constellation Designer Series paper sheet. And I'm going to run that through the Big Shot. The sandwich I'm using to run this through is a magnetic platform, one cutting plate, my cardstock, the die, and a cutting plate on top. To make sure that your solid circle on your Whisper White piece of cardstock is cut in the center, I like to put my pink DSP on top of my cardstock piece. That way I know it will line up perfectly. I'm using the negative of the scalloped circle as the background piece behind the circles that I cut out. On this petal pink paper, I cut a standard card base that measures 5.5 by 8.5. I scored it in the middle at 4.25, and I used my bone folder to crease it. After rounding the corners on my card base and my card mats, I'm going to get the placement for my scalloped circle in the contrasting DSP. Placing the circle down, I'm going to make sure that I have all of the area behind my Designer Series paper and my white card mats covered. I'm popping both of these layers up using our Stampin' dimensionals, making sure that I put enough dimensionals around the openings so that it doesn't sag on the card. I'm using a Versamark watermark ink pad to stamp my heart constellation onto my dry aqua painted piece. Then I'm using some silver embossing powder and my heat tool to emboss. Using my paper snips, I'm going to snip around the edges of the constellation heart. This piece is very easy to cut because it's all straight lines. Once the heart is cut out, you can pop it up with some dimensionals into the center of the circles that we cut out of our card mats. After that's popped up in the middle, I take the striped designer series paper from the Twinkle DSP and I glue it on top of the heart in the middle. It's going to be a little longer than we need, and I do this because I like to place it so that I know where my stripes go, and then I can trim off the excess. I'm using my banner cut sentiment and popping that up with some dimensionals onto the center of my heart and taking some baker's twine, tying a bow, and then I'm going to place it just off to the right hand side above the striped DSP. Using the Twinkle Builder Punch, I'm taking a piece of sparkle glimmer paper and punching out 2 stars, one large and one small. I'll use glue dots to attach these onto my card. And that's it, creators. There's our beautiful petal pink Twinkle card today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to click the bell icon to be notified of future videos. You can follow me online at melissascreations.com and Facebook at facebook.com/MKre8tions. I'm on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest with the handle @MKre8tions. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye!